Hey, what's up? Dean, Sear Performance. We're at the shop and we are working on Jeff's S10 again. Got a lot done. Move all this. So we decided to do the electric pump with the ICT brackets for the alternator and power steering pump. So the brackets came in the other day, the pump came in today, well yesterday actually. So I got it all on. Brackets worked out with some belts, a little bit different size belts than what they had said. That is a Billet Specialties pulley. That is like a off-brand Amazon pulley, but it's aluminum. It's a pretty nice pulley actually. So I got all that on, the belts are on, the belts are tight, threw the radiator back in, the hoses are on. That hose fit pretty good. It bumps the alternator just a hair down there, but it's not horrible. He really does need to get a better radiator than this one. You can see how skinny it is. The tank isn't even as wide as the cap. Cap's a little bit big, but it does need a little bit bigger of a radiator. So being that it sits really close, you can see the old power steering used to rub, and the reason being is that there's no lower mounts for the radiator, so it could literally push itself out. I'm gonna address that. I'm probably on this side, I'm gonna weld a tab down there to the tank. I'll weld a tab and then do like a through bolt through the frame, and then same on this side. I'll weld a tab, where are you at? Down there. I'll weld a tab, it's not focusing, camo, whatever. I'll weld a tab to the tank, come over, through bolt it to the frame, that'll hold the bottom. The top is still the little tabs that I bent over, which holds it good. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna weld these tabs to the actual radiator, and then you don't have to worry about them. It'll clean it up a little bit. Maybe cut these two. Cool. Stuff just randomly banging around. Maybe I'll cut these two tops off. There's no need for them. They're just on there and annoying. But we got the nitrous plate on, the solenoid, the fuel line. I teed off before the gauge with another one of the adapters, same adapter, the AN to AN with a gauge port, and then I just used a -4 with some Teflon braided line up to the solenoid, and I checked it. I took the line off the plate, keyed on a bunch of times, nothing dripped, so the solenoid's not leaking. Same with the nitrous solenoid, that's on the back. It just screws onto the plate back there, and then the line goes through that little bracket there that was on the truck, probably for the inner fender, I would assume. Got the alternator wire cut, the terminal crimped the terminal on the other end, then I put the fancy DEI or DIE, heat sleeve, the titanium one. It's one that I had laying around, and up to the terminal block, so I'll be able to see if the alternator is charging. Should charge. It's brand new AC Delco alternator. Blah blah blah. I did the grounds for the nitrous. I did this solenoid, the fuel solenoid I did right here on the front. The nitrous solenoid's on the back right there, that blue wire right there, so that's on there. Both of them ohm out really good, especially this one has the battery cable that runs down to the block where the battery cable comes off the engine, which seems to be doing really good. And then we got the bumper on. That's right. It's fancy. I want to be like Dean. Fiberglass bumper is on. It's a pretty nice piece. You either get a little bit of a difference here if you line the back up really good and the outside's lined up pretty good. I cracked mine bending it in because these are actually, they sit out really far when you stick them on there. Almost like the mold expands when they pop it out. So I don't want to push in really far, but I got it really close. That could be like sanded and cleaned up, whatever. I'm not a body guy, but I got it mounted onto this aluminum bracket that I made for his old bumper because his horns were like bent up and it pushed the bumper way up. So I got it mounted there with a screw, mounted there with a screw, and then inside each corner there's a screw like over here that goes into a nutsert in the fender because there's no holes there. So this side, same thing. You know, it could be pushed forward a little bit and this would clean up a little bit, and I might do that, but I'd have to open up the hole a little bit. Yowzer. So, you know, it's good. It's good. Took the antenna off for you, Jeff. Jerk. What else? We got the nitrous bottle mounted. He brought up a billet dual bottle holder. So I got that mounted in with some stainless 3/8 bolts, washers, nuts, lock nuts underneath, or lock washers underneath. Yeah, lock washers are underneath. I got the line ran, and then to keep the line from rubbing on the bed, I put another piece of heat sleeve in. It's pretty long, so it goes under the truck. Then we got the steering column done. You can see that's the newer style column with his steering wheel on it. I'll go to the other side. So that piece on the firewall right there, this piece here is off the old column. That's the piece that I cut off, and then I bolted it back in, so it still has a little bit of the collar sitting on it, and that actually sits inside the boot. So it worked out really good with this column. And then I cut the shaft off that new column. This is the piece that I cut off that slips in, and then it has that little spring to like retain it. But he had on the other column, he had that joint there. He had this joint here with the hollow tube in it, which is not good. It's not really how you're supposed to do it, because you can tighten this set screw and crush the hollow tube, and the hollow tube can break off and all kinds of good stuff. So you're not really supposed to do it like that. So I took that off and then kind of lined everything up. He's got the U-joint for the steering box that's splined for the steering box, and I kind of lined it all up, and it worked out to where the solid bar went into the end of this U-joint over here, and then that's the slip piece. So you can see that's the hollow piece there, and it actually is a slip. Like if you were ever to get in a collision, it would slide down. You can see it starts to move. So I have it positioned, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld it up here. I'm going to weld the hollow tube to the solid bar out of the column. You can see that rubber is the new column. So I'm going to weld that to there, and then it makes it one solid column, more or less, that's still collapsible. So if you ever wanted to take the steering column out, you take that set screw out, take a pry bar, pop it off the splines, and it'll push itself in right there. You can kind of sort of see it right there. It'll push itself in, so it's a collapsible column now. Before that that hollow part was wedged all the way down, so there was no way for it to collapse. And I found out, I was trying to bang this off, and the tube actually slid out, and I was like, oh, cool. So it worked out. It gave me the length to make it a one solid column, which should tighten up the steering feel Before it felt kind of wonky. It felt weird, so it should tighten it up. And then I jumped to the interior and started mangling more wires. That is a mess of wires, and I have taken so much out. Basically, this whole box came out from under this dash. Like, this is the old column plug, but I pulled this piece out because he doesn't use any of this. It literally was sitting in the truck empty, so I pulled this piece out, and then all of these wires are just extra wires basically that were in there. Previously I got the steering column, the connector, hooked up, and you can see I stripped every single wire to try and find blinkers and all this stuff. Having an issue with the blinkers, and I believe it's because this column comes out of a truck with a body control module, whereas this truck, the 94, did not have a body control module. So I think that's giving me the issue with the blinkers. But I found, so I've taken the fuse box and I've pulled all the extra wires out so that I can label them what they are. I pulled the extra fuses, so like these wires here, any wire that I'm not using, I pulled the fuse, so it's not a live wire anymore. But like, this is a 4-wheel drive fuse. This fuse, this one here, is for fog lamp, and I'll explain that in a minute. I already have it tied into a plug. And then I got right rear blinker, turn backup fuse, so this is a power wire coming off the fuse box. Left rear blinker, low beam, I believe this is the high beam. Yeah, high beam. So I have them all labeled out, a whole bunch that I need here. So I need all of these here. I have to figure out like a flasher and try and figure out this blinker. High beam isn't gonna work. It no good. But I might try and figure out the wipers. I know this is the feed to the wiper motor, so I think, pretty sure these work off of ground, but again, I think this feeds to the body control module, blah 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 blah. Also mounted the center console that he brought up out of the newer style truck. I got that mounted in there. Pretty much 2 bolts, a couple of nut certs. Yeah, I did nut certs down there, got those bolted in, and then the rubber pad is out of my Blazer because he's cheap. But there's one more bolt in there, and that also goes to a nut cert. So the column's in, the shifter worked out good, made it nice and clean. Also wired in neutral safety. The classes that he sent, like, has to have neutral safety. Here's the new dashboard with the Holly screen in it, and cut, mangled, a little tab welded over there to hold the bottom down there in the truck. And then I have to open up these holes a little bit, but this hole catches. There's nothing at that hole. That hole catches. I'll open, or that hole catches. Yeah, I think that hole catches. And then I'll open up that one and put another bolt. But I got the headlight switch. Okay. You gonna stay? No, I'm not gonna stay. Oh boy. There we go. So I got the bezel on. That bezel's off my Blazer. And I knocked out the 4-wheel drive switch and then the rear wiper switch. But I got this headlight switch. Oh, that was weird. This headlight switch is out of my Blazer, and down here it had, oh, it's not written there anymore, but this was a fog lamp for fog lamps, like down in the bumper or down in the front valance or whatever it was. So what I did was I just trimmed the hole a little bit and put one of these rocker switches in it, and this will be his nitrous arming. So when he wants to turn the nitrous on, he turns this on, and that'll activate the Holley sniper to know that he's about to run nitrous. And then I figured out the parking position and the headlight position back here. So I put a plug. This is to the toggle switch, so it only has 3 wires, but you got an extra one. And then I reversed this plug here so that you can't mix the two up. So you can see the tab is down here, the tab is on that end. So he'll unplug these two and unplug his CAN bus and a USB GPS, and the dashboard will come right out. So, and then I got it gluing back together. These always tend to kind of spring apart. So I got that gluing back together, but that's almost ready to go back in as soon as I wire the headlight switch, which is these really long ones right here. No. Yeah. That's these here. So like ground. I think I'm going to do it on the ignition switch. I'm not going to do it on battery, so that this way you can't accidentally leave the headlights on. And then one of these is parking, and one of these is for headlights. Being that he doesn't have a high beam, I think I'm going to wire it to the high beam side. So what I did was I hung 2 relays here. These trucks don't have relays for the headlight in this year, so I'm going to pin one of these for the high beam on the headlights, and then the other one is for the nitrous arming. I have to take and reverse the signal because it's a ground input to the Holley, and instead of trying to rewire that whole switch, because there's like 8 pins on that switch, I'm gonna take and I'm gonna feed a 12-volt signal in one side and ground in the other side. Yeah, ground in this side, and then 12-volt in this side, and that'll trigger the relay. So this trigger will be off the switch, so that'll bring the trigger in. Then what I'm going to do is run another ground to what would be the battery post into the relay, and then the ground out, the output side of the relay, will go to the Holley sniper, and that'll trigger the relay to send the ground through to the Holley sniper. So it's like reversing what a relay normally does. Instead of outputting battery positive, I'm going to output like a battery negative. But I got the key working. I think I did that in the last video. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I mean, it's close now. Fuel cell's 100% done. I had a little issue, but I got that sorted. I mean, it's close. The kill switch I got over here. Come on. So here's the kill switch that I have to mount and then make a rod come off and all the way to the back. So once I get the sides bolted on, like I said in the previous video, I already have the bolt in there and I already drilled this, and then I could mount this one. The other side I just got to drop the bolt in, and then I can mount it and then put them all together and drill and bolt them together back there. That'll be in, and once that's in, then I'll do for the battery kill switch, like coming out probably somewhere right in here. And I'm just gonna make a knob out of like some bar stock aluminum, probably this piece here. It's like 1.25 inch bar stock aluminum. So I'll turn it on the lathe and I'll kind of round the outside edge of it over, and I'll chamfer the inside edge so it's not sharp, powder coat it red, feed the rod up to the kill switch, and then wire it, obviously, and then that'll take care of that. So pretty much that's kind of where I'm at right now. I wanted to get the front end done today, so all of that stuff is done. Oh, my head on. Trying to do one thing at a time, start to finish. So like with the brackets and everything, and then the pump coming, I wanted to get all that done. Then I put the radiator on. So instead of jumping off of this and going to finish the wiring, which I really wanted to do, but I said I'll finish everything up front. Pretty much everything is done. I got a solid state relay coming for the nitrous kit to give it progressive. Really close. You have to use a solid state relay. Holly sells one, but they're like 75 bucks. I'm gonna use off-brand, whatever. It's a good brand, but I just can't remember. But it's a solid state relay. I've used them a bunch, and they're really fast acting, so that's good. And you can pulse through them and all that. So I have that coming. That'll be here tomorrow. That'll let me finish up the wiring out here. What I have to do, so I've got this blue wire is the positive to the nitrous solenoid, so that's going to come off the solid state relay. This output 6 is going to be what triggers the solid state, and then it'll pulse in the progressive table. This is the master enable, so I extended it. That's in the cab right there, along with that yellow and that brown. I know one's a 2-step. Couldn't tell you what the other one is. I remember one is a 2-step. I gotta look at what it is. And then get those wired up. I got a loom, which the loom is here. That's what they were in, but I'm gonna redo it so it sits, you know, up high or something. That kind of hung down before. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Blah blah blah, bunch of blah blah. That's pretty much it for this one. I'll update again as soon as I get a little more progress. Hopefully get all the wiring done tomorrow, minus that solid state relay, which is pretty easy to do. 4 wires to it, and then I mean, it'll be ready. I got to get some coolant for it, which I'm going to run ionized water with like a water wetter or hypercool, one of those additives. We're going to do that, so there's no antifreeze in the truck. Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it for now. So I appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. Leave me a comment and I'll write back to you. So for now, that's it for this video. Have a good day.